Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the North Branch of the Dartmouth Public Libraries. We're here today to celebrate the North Branch, who, we've kind of neglected celebrating over the past few years due to that nasty thing that we all know. COVID. And also to dedicate our new donor recognition bookcase, which we hope you saw on your way in, but which is also displayed in a lovely photograph taken by our own Joan Marie Prue. I'm Joan Menard. I'm a library trustee, and I'm here on behalf of the trustees to thank you all for joining us tonight to celebrate. And also want to say special thanks to everyone who played a role in creating this beautiful LEED certified branch library. It's very exciting. In a minute, I'm going to introduce our new library director, Dina St. Pierre. But first, I want to acknowledge a few people in the room, thank them for joining us. Their contribution and their commitment to this library has gotten us where we are, obviously in fine shape. And I'm going to do my best to introduce everyone, but I'm sure I'm going to need some help, so jump in. First, the other trustees who are in the room. Stan Beluziak is here somewhere. He's the chair of the trustees. Joan Marie Prue is the vice chair of the trustees. Lisa Tufano is the recording secretary of the trustees, and Linda Garibaldi is our newest trustee member here today, and Eileen Levine was unable to join us. We also have very nicely Representative Chris Markey joining us today, and many representatives from our select board of the town are here today, Sean McDonald and Stan Mickelson, and I saw Dave Tattlebaum. Yes. So thank you all for joining us. Did Dan Pilata make it? No, okay.
I didn't hear him.
You didn't hear him. You would have heard him. Okay. But I know that Conrad Ello from the architecture firm is here, our architect. Yes, very good. Thank you, Conrad. And other members of the building committee are here. I know Mary Ellen Freitas, thank you very much. And anybody else from the building committee that we've forgotten? Michael Prue, absolutely. And Sean, of course, we already introduced, yeah. So a lot of people put in a lot of years on that building committee. We also have today some representatives from the state who work with the libraries and the library system. We've got a couple of people from the Mass Board of Library Commissioners here, and one of them, the chair of the commissioners, will actually be speaking for a minute, and also a representative from the Sales Network that provides our technical services and our internet services. So thank them, both of those groups, for joining us here. And of course, finally, the last thing I have to say is to thank all the families and the individual contributors to whom we dedicate the donor recognition bookcase, and really hope that you all will find a way to participate in that as well. So I'd like to introduce at this time Dina St. Pierre, our new library director. It's only been with us for a few months, and we're so happy to have her. Welcome.
Yes, as Joan said, I've only been here a few months. I'm actually in my 6th month right now, which clearly means I had nothing to do with this construction project or with the opening of the North Branch Library back in 2020. But that doesn't mean I'm any less invested. I'm very invested in our Dartmouth Public Libraries. In fact, one of the reasons why I applied for my position is because of the North Branch Library. As a public librarian, I firmly believe that our public libraries are places of possibility. And of course, a rare, newly constructed library building is almost like a blank slate. And I was very intrigued by the opportunity to help shape this library building's future. Over the past 6 months, I've gotten to know the building itself. It certainly has its own personality. I've gotten to know the community of users. And most importantly, I've been able to know the 2 Dartmouth Public Library staff members who are primarily based here, Sharoni Robbins, who is our branch librarian, and Pamela Tavares, who to is our library technician, and it's a privilege to work with two people so dedicated and passionate about this library specifically. They've made it a welcoming and relevant space, and the future holds excitement for us here. I firmly believe that. Please make sure before you leave today, you take a minute and tell us one thing you'd like to see at the North Branch going forward. We're getting ready to work on our strategic plan, and so this is a little pre-planning that we're doing here. A lot happens behind the scenes of a public library. 5 of our 6 trustees are here today, and I thank you all for being here. Building committee members, like Joan mentioned, are here. Our architect, Conrad Ello, is here today. Our landscape architects are here today as well. We're grateful to everyone for all of their efforts in getting us here. Members of our Friends group are here today, and we truly appreciate the support, past, present, and future. Town and state officials are here, sales, network staff who do so very much for us. And they all played a key part and will continue to play a key part in moving this library forward. The library construction was funded in part by a grant from the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, and like I said, new construction in this area is very rare. So we're very proud to be a MBLC project library. Before I turn things over to Sharni, I'd just like to take a minute to say, as Joan mentioned, we're really talking about our donor wall today, that recognition bookshelf in the hall, which please take a moment and take a look at it. Many of the names and organizations you see on the bookshelf are there because of a donation that they made to North Branch Library, some way back in 2019. So we're so happy that we're finally able to recognize those donations. And I would be remiss if I didn't say there's plenty of room for growth on the bookshelf, as you can tell. And so we invite people to ask any of us for more information on how you can become a part of the bookshelf. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Sharni Robbins.
Thank you, everybody. I'm so thrilled to be here and to see so many familiar faces. And because I've been here since the library opened, January 27th, 2020, I just wanted to share a few words, because today is really, I feel like the library itself is a world of stories. You come into the library and there's a wealth of books that can take you places that you couldn't even dream of. And there's also other stories, though, besides those books on the shelves that you borrow and bring home and read. I feel like we have also today a celebration of 2 different stories that have been published. One is the library itself and the fact that it was built from the ground up. We never actually had a grand opening because the pandemic started 6 weeks after we opened. And I just wanted to take a moment to, especially for the people who are here, to recognize what goes into building a library. We have people on the library building committee here, and like Stanley and Mary Ellen and Mike and Sean, and they were tireless in their efforts. No one ever imagined that the building committee would last as long as it did because we had a few hurdles that we had to overcome. And to have the architect here, I invite you all to consider it an opportunity to, if you think this place is beautiful or you like the library, go up and introduce yourself and tell them how you feel. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to take a moment and take stock. And I also actually want to mention the room. The person who this room is named after. We have the photograph, the framed photograph of Suzanne McDonald and the plaque, and she was actually a true champion of this library happening. And she was a champion of the donor wall. And so I invite you to also go up and look at the plaque and look at the picture and say an inner hello to her, because I think she's probably with us here in spirit today. So that's one story, the story of the library. The other story is the recognition bookshelf, the donor bookcase. And it's just such a wonderful kind of opportunity for the community and the library to kind of come together in the form of the recognition bookshelf, where people can honor someone who has passed that was very special to them, someone who's alive that is special to them, an organization, or they can just say what they feel about the library, like one person who made on her book spine the words, "A beautiful place." And I like to think in the same way that just like when you look at a book, the cover of a book with the title on it and the cover, you don't know what's inside until you read it, that when you take the time to look at those book spines, to imagine that every single one of those has a story. There's a reason why that person chose to make that dedication as a lasting public thing. And one person who I invited, who was a donor, actually wrote me a beautiful message back talking about her grandmother and just how special it was to her, to how much her grandmother loved reading and books, and just how much it meant to her to have the opportunity to be part of the recognition bookshelf. So I guess I'm trying to like have this theme of books, but at the end of the day, it's really all about people, right? I mean, a library is more than the books on the shelf. It's a place where groups come here and have meetings, and children have story time, and it's just a way that people can come together in the community. And I just feel very blessed and grateful to work here. And thank you all for listening. I know I'm not good at doing short speeches.
Representative Markey. When you're done, would you introduce Sean Dickens?
Sure. I'm going to be very short because in about 5 seconds ago I figured out I was going to speak. I say this all the time when I'm in some type of academic setting or where there is a great knowledge. It's ironic that I'm here because sixth grade was the best 2 years of my life. And I can only say this about libraries is you can talk about people and books and all that, but libraries are potential. Everything in here is potential. People who come in here who are young college graduates who spend the summer trying to find a job can sit in here and begin to start their resume and figure out where they're going to be over the next 2, 3, 4 decades of where they see their life going. Young children can come and play. Young children can come and learn to read, where they can start to develop a whole series of knowledge that piques their interest and follows what they really enjoy doing. The potential is here, and the investment in libraries is essential for this one thing. And I think you hear it all the time, oh, the world's a crazy place right now, it's all over the place, and maybe it's overused and we're not really talking about it, but the reason why we have free public libraries is because we have a democracy. And a democracy requires work. It requires vigilance, and it requires people to have some knowledge of what is purposeful. And when I look at a library, I always think of, the library is free, the public education is free, because we need to perpetuate society. And if there's one real genius behind the Founding Fathers is it's giving that potential to people for an understanding of what it means to have decency and to have virtue, to have morals. That's what you learn here. And that's where this library gives people the opportunity. And this building wouldn't happen without a community that has been dedicated, I'd probably say for decades, to get the library from down there to up on the hill. So I want to thank the town. It was long before I was a state rep, but everybody from day one when I started to run for office and then is in office focused on getting this done. So with the diligence that was used, the perseverance used by everybody, and I just want to especially thank the McDonald family for the dedication to our town. I know Susie does that, Sean does the select board, and Jackie has done Conservation Commission and the CPA. They understand the need to have people involved in our community, and I think this is where it begins. So I want to say thank you to everybody who was involved. I wish you the best of luck. I hope it's not only another 6 months, but it's another 6 years, and I wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
Sean McGinnis.
Oh, I forgot to introduce Sean McGinnis.
Would you introduce Conrad?
I can, sure. Sean McGinnis, the town administrator. I will be briefer than Chris here. I will say one thing. So the summer I started was the summer they broke ground on this building, and I remember sitting in on the building committee meetings and being impressed at what a dedicated group it was and the passion they had for this building. I had no idea, so I just thought they were building a building, but it was great to see. And then when I talked to Dina about what the library does and the circulation, the amount of visitors, it is like an urban library. Excuse me. And what I like about coming here is it seems like a small town library. It's very comfortable. It's a nice setting. It's relaxed. So, Dartmouth's lucky to have, best of both worlds, a really great circulation, but a nice space as well. So with that, I'll leave it at that. It's been very impressive. It's great to work with everybody here and Dina. And with that, I'll introduce Conrad. Excuse me.
Okay, great. Thanks. My name is Conrad Ello, and I'm with Odin Zello Architecture, the architects for the building. If you guys like the building, you can come talk to me. If you don't like the building, my business partner, Matt Odins, is back there. You can go talk to Matt. But thank you to Dina for inviting me to say a few words tonight. I wrote a few words down. And I'll get started with my speech here. Quite honestly, it seems very unusual to be speaking about a building opening almost 4 years after it opened. I'm not sure there's a whole lot I can add about a building that's already been in operation, and that from the reports Dina's given me seems well used and hopefully is well liked by the community. I can say that I'm proud of our contributions as well as the contributions of countless people we've worked with on securing the MBLC grant back in 2015, 2016. I think it was a 2017 construction grant that we received for the building. I can say we're proud of the building's LEED Gold status. It's an energy efficient building, all electric systems. And especially it has the ability to create on-site energy with the photovoltaic panels, which I've heard, Dina tells me have only been in operation for a year, which is unfortunate, but now it's up and running and it's going to save money for years to come. We're also pleased with the building's interior spaces and the building's connections to the wooded landscape in which it sits, including the all-important pathway to Potter School. That's something that Heidi Brooks was instrumental in pushing for, and we made that connection. I hope it's being used today. Bringing a building like this to fruition requires countless decisions and countless people's efforts. I trust that those efforts have provided the town of Dartmouth with a resource that has many decades of useful life ahead of it, despite the kind of short-circuited start it had 4 years ago. There are a lot of people to acknowledge on a project like this, but I wanted to highlight one group that I had the pleasure of getting to know quite well over the years, and that's the building committee. The reality is that the committee members all gave a tremendous amount of their own free time and service to the town, and it's easy to forget that when hammering through issues every 2 weeks with this group for 4 or 5 years, that they're really there giving their free time. People like Bruce and Heidi Brooks, Mike is here, Mary Ellen, Stan, Sue, and Sean McDonald. They all deserve a tremendous amount of credit for making this building a reality. It was truly a collaboration with our office. And then there are others from the town who are instrumental. Deborah Wender, who's moved to California, I think. Sean McGinnis, Cody more recently, and even David Cressman, the town administrator from way back when. All of these folks deserve a tremendous amount of credit. And last but not least, Lynn Antunes, the former director, who I since learned it was 46 years of service to the town, which is incredible. She just retired this year. Despite several stressful moments and challenges, some that lingered far too long during COVID, it was really great and a true pleasure to work with this group. But all of that said, the main reason I offered to speak today is to really acknowledge Sue McDonald, and I know others have done that, she was the chair of the building committee. I think about her often, and I miss her today, as I know a lot of you in the room do. I think back to our time working on this. She was always the first person to arrive in our meeting rooms. She always greeted you with a smile, and sometimes with her special holiday cherry treats. And her persistent and steady hand kept us all on track through the design and construction process. Most important was her good humor, her respect for others, and the overall grace she brought to this effort, which made working together simultaneously fun and productive. I feel so fortunate to have known Sue and to have worked with her, and I feel her spirit in this building. I'm glad this room is dedicated to her, and I know you all will. Well, everyone said that. I miss her a lot, and that was the main reason I wanted to speak, because she gave so much to this project. Thank you, and with that, I'll introduce Sean McDonald.
That's the next speaker, right? All right. Well, first of all, thank you for coming. It's good to see a lot of people here that I recognize from many years ago. Of course, 2 of my classmates from the class of... yeah, this is the 3rd building built in town that I've been directly involved with. The first one was the pool school becoming the town hall back in the 80s. So I've been around for a while. I've been involved in this town since I was 18 years old. I've been a town meeting member since I was 18 years old and still a town meeting member. Served on school committee for 15 years, park board for 3 years, finance committee for 3 years, various other committees, and the select board for 5 terms. But this building here is probably my favorite. Not only for the amount of work that went in, but the people that was involved, and plus the fact that my sister was involved with this. But this is a lesson. If you're going to volunteer in the town of Dartmouth, do not miss the first meeting. Because if you miss the first meeting, they're going to make you chairman of that committee. And that's exactly what happened to Sue. She missed the first meeting and they made her chair. It was something that she took on with a great deal of vim and vigor. You can even talk to my mother about how many times that she contemplated the aggravation of being the chair, the delays and some of the problems that any building committee member comes through. But she marshaled on. Sometimes to the chagrin of the phone call to Dan and to Conrad, and I'm sure sometimes those conversations weren't the greatest in the world. But she shepherded this building on, and she just made damn sure that this building was built. That's for sure. And we have this is a great library building. And it's good to see the donor wall, and it's good to see some really people that have been here for the longest time. You have, Dr. McBratney and his wife on the board. You have the Hawes, Fred Hawes. I remember Fred Hawes from the old town hall. And then there's my wonderful algebra teacher, Mrs. Walden. She was a great teacher. Unfortunately, she failed miserably with me. I think I have the record in Dartmouth High School from going from an 80 to tanking to a fourth grade quarter score of 16 in algebra. So, and because of that, I ended up, oh my God, Mrs. Walder. Oh my God. Here we go. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I must have been just a real bad mark on that. But I do have to admit, though, I had a great time in summer school that year. I passed with a 98, and then when I took the exam at Dartmouth High School, I ended up with a 99. So I felt pretty good. So something did finally sink in. It's great to see you. Oh, man. Wow. Okay. Well, so much for that. But again, my sister was involved with this and getting a hold of the guy who did the Acushnet Library and finally getting to work. So our company is up there with North Dartmouth, but there's one that's missing up there, and that's a book in my sister's memory. I know this room is named for her, which our family deeply appreciates, the trustees, but we're going to put up a book up there for my sister. So we'll have that taken care of. With that, I do want to introduce our next speaker, Debbie Conrad.
I'm the closer. I'm Debbie Conrad. I'm the chair of the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. And on behalf of the Board of Library Commissioners, I offer, albeit very belated, congratulations to the town of Dartmouth, the trustees of the library, and the generous donors on the construction of this beautiful building. The construction program and grants that are funded by the board are unique among most of the states in the United States. And this building is a jewel on the South Shore. I would also be remiss, since everybody's being acknowledged, if I didn't acknowledge Andrea Bono Bunker, who is the construction specialist on the board and worked on this library. So, from gorgeous old buildings to modern marvels like the North Dartmouth branch, library buildings are rich in symbolism and meaning. The physical space of the library communicates to the public our underlying values that libraries, information, and shared community spaces matter, and the North Dartmouth branch exemplifies that. I remember the old North Dartmouth branch. Back in 1989, I was working in the basement of the Southworth Library as the director of the old Seal Library network, and we would go over to the North Dartmouth branch, and even then it was in need of some replacement. And with vision and planning and a lot of community support, the town of Dartmouth ended up with this. Dina gave me a private tour about 2 months ago, and I was astounded. This fully handicapped accessible building addresses community needs and is ready to meet changes that we know are coming. You have meeting spaces, updated technology, space for teens and children, and so much more. Many people forget that the original purpose of the Free Public Library as an institution here in the United States was for an educated citizenry to make democracy work. Libraries have never been more important. The building of this library is a renewal of your community's commitment to equal access to information for everyone, no matter their age, gender, or station in life. That access to information and dissemination of ideas is critical to a free and dynamic society, which is really, when it comes down to it, what libraries are all about. I'm going to close with a famous quote from Andrew Carnegie. He said, "There is not such a cradle of democracy upon the earth as the free public library. A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert. You have a wonderful spring." Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Please have a tour, have a cider, have a crudité, ask questions, look around, fill out the flip charts up here in the front, and enjoy our library. Thank you.